Okay, so we're recording. So I'm just going to say this one more time. If you have 2 blocks, go and grab 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can grab a chair to hold on to and maybe something to hug between your knees or to just hold in your hand that has a little bit of weight, like a book or something. So we're going to make our way over to our mats and we'll get started lying down. So go ahead, find your way down onto your mat. Go ahead and lie back. And as you lie back, if it's more comfortable for you to have something under your head, like a blanket or a pillow, that's really perfectly great right now. And as you lie down, you might close your eyes if that feels better for you. Just take this time to notice what your body is doing. Your body is relaxing as the floor supports it. And we're going to allow the body to relax into that support. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the points of your body that are touching the floor. Let your feet be heavy and consciously recognize the feeling of your feet connected to your mat, to the floor. As your back is supported, just let your back relax. Your low back, your upper back, your shoulders, your arms. Feel any tension in your belly beginning to melt away. Feel the weight of your head supported by the floor or a blanket or a pillow. And just notice how it feels to be in this relaxed state as we begin our practice this morning. Just feeling the whole body. Perhaps if you're dealing with some sort of injury or challenge in your physical body, just hold that in your awareness with a sense of care and support and patience and understanding. Our bodies, like everything else in the world, are constantly changing. And we're still able to be here and do a lot of things, even if we can't do everything that we used to be able to do. There's an awful lot that we can do. So accepting any limitations with love and understanding, and maybe a sense of gratitude for all the things that we can do. So as we're lying back and experiencing this moment, let's experience what it feels like to breathe. Bring your awareness to your breathing. Feel the breath as it moves in and expands into your body. Feel what it feels like as your breath empties and releases. Breathe in through your nose if that's available to you, if you're not stuffed up. And your out breath can be through your nose or through your mouth, whichever you prefer, but allow the breath a chance to empty and release all the way out. Slowing down now. Taking our time. Really embodying, noticing what it feels like to breathe fully and deeply. Each breath is a gift, an opportunity to be alive. Grateful for this breath and this life that we've been given. As you're really feeling what it feels like to breathe, while you're doing that, just see if you can soften the roof of your mouth. Notice how that feels if you relaxed your soft palate. we'll just take 1 or 2 more breaths as we prepare to practice. Maybe considering if there's something you'd like to focus on this morning, some quality you'd like to invite in or cultivate. I'm always working on patience, but the default can always be love and compassion. And then after your next full release of breath, with your next breath in, you can open your eyes if they were closed. Let's take our feet off the floor. We'll hug our knees into chest, sway a little bit, feeling the sacrum, getting a little massage side to side. And then as you sway to the center, lift your legs up, drop your arms to your side. Just alternate flexing and pointing your feet, or any other movement here that would loosen up the legs or feel like you're just stretching out a little bit. You can circle at the ankles in one direction, then in the other. We can bend our knees now. Grab onto your knees and just open them out into a nice big straddle. You might place your hands on the inside of the knees to add a little more weight, pressing the knees apart. Take a breath in. And then taking the hands to the outside of the knees, press them back together, and then let your feet release down to the floor. Take your hands and place them on your lower ribs. Take a breath in, and as you exhale with your hands, can you kind of press your lower ribs in and down, kind of push them a little bit together and down into the floor, kind of. And then as you breathe in, let that relax. So the ribs move a little bit up and apart. And as you exhale with your hands, press your ribs, just a little movement in towards each other and down toward the floor a bit. It's called knitting the ribs. And then release that with your inhalation. So as we exhale, we're going to knit the ribs. And as you knit the ribs, lift up your head, neck, and shoulders. And knitting your ribs even more as you lift up and look out beyond your knees. And then inhale and release back. So on the exhale, we're knitting the ribs. We'll let the hands guide that a bit as we curl up, head, neck, and shoulders, looking beyond the knees, and then releasing the head back. So we're going to do that same thing, but we're going to place our hands beneath the head, supporting the back of the head. We'll take a breath in, and then with your abdominal muscles, knit your ribs in and down as you lift your head, neck, and shoulders, looking beyond your knees, and then reach out with your hands towards your knees. So maybe you knit the ribs a little bit more. And then bring your hands back and release your head down and take a breath. So again, knit the ribs in and down, lift the head, neck, and shoulders, reach out beyond the knees, and then come on back and down. Okay, let's find one block, or it could be anything you can hug between your knees, a pillow or a book or a ball or something. Take the block, the medium width, not the widest or the narrowest, but the medium width, and place it between your thighs. And then with your feet on the floor, support your head with your hands, just like we were doing. Take a breath in. And then knit your ribs in and down to lift your head, neck, and shoulders so you're looking out beyond your knees. And then release the head back and down. So again, we're going to knit the ribs, we're going to curl up, and then let's lift the feet up off the floor, bringing the knees over the hips. Now you look between your legs towards, the wall, wherever that is. And then we're going to lower the feet down as we release the head back and breathe. So we're going to knit the ribs and curl up, hugging the block, bring the knees up, and then we're going to lower back down as we inhale. Feet to the floor, head goes back. Again, slow and controlled. Knit the ribs, lift the head, neck, and shoulders, lift the knees, and then nice and easy, gentle, release back, feet come down. Couple more like that, knitting the ribs and curling up. This time, can you extend your legs out on an angle as your head goes back? You're still hugging the rib, the block. Then draw the knees in and curl up. Extend the legs out on an angle as you inhale back. Again, Knit the ribs, curl up, bring the knees in. Extend the legs out as you inhale back. This next time we're going to curl up, bring the knees in, and then let the feet go down. Let your head go down. Your hands can release from supporting your head. Your arms come to your side. We still have the block between the legs. We're going to take a breath in, and on the exhale, we'll hug the block and pick the feet up, bringing the knees over the hips. Let's lift the legs up, and then can you curl your hips a little bit off the floor using your low belly. Then roll out, bend the knees, with control, lower the feet back down. So don't just let them drop quickly. Once your feet are down, relax and take a breath. And then again, hug the block, bring the knees up, lift the legs, and curl the hips up off the floor. And then release the hips, bend the knees, lower the feet down. Relax and take a breath. One more time like that. Hugging the block, bring the knees up, bring the legs up, and then curl those hips up. And then lower the hips, bend the knees, release the feet. Nice job. Take the block out, and then place it on your chest. Place the block the long way on your chest. And then can you grab the block with your elbows? So you're holding the blocks with your elbows, and you're going to lift that block up off of your chest. So your elbows come straight up from your shoulders. You got the block between your elbows. Now can you turn your palms to face the floor? So you're hugging the block between your elbows, your palms are facing the floor. Can you take your hands and just spread them a little wider than the block? And then bring them back in. So my arms look like this. And I'm just taking my hands wider than the block and then bringing them back together. Palms to the floor. Hands go wider than the block and then back together. So you're kind of working the rotators, the back of the shoulders. One more time, take your hands wider than the block and then bring your hands together. Now as you hug onto the block, can you bring your arms a little higher? This might be difficult if you have some restriction in your shoulders, but can you bring your arms higher up so your hands are reaching back toward the floor? And then bring them back so your elbows are straight up from your shoulders. As you hug the block, can you take it overhead? Just as far as works for your body, your shoulders. Come back up, maybe one more time. If that's too much, you can continue doing just taking the hands a little wider. Reach overhead and then come back. You can place the block on your chest and then we'll set the block aside. Nice work. Okay. Roll to your side now, so you're facing your computer, your laptop, whatever. And bend your knees so your legs are on a right angle. Your knees are stacked. Your head can just be resting on a pillow or on your arm. Take the block or the book or whatever you have nearby and just hold on to it. And we're going to be moving. We're going to have our elbow by our waist, and we're just going to take the lower part of the arm and lift it up toward the ceiling. The tendency here is to do a lot of movement in your wrist. Don't worry about moving your wrist. Just move from your elbow. So bring your forearm parallel to the floor and then bring your lower arm up toward the ceiling. You don't need to cock your wrist back. So bring your forearm parallel to the floor, your elbows by your waist, and then lift that forearm up toward the ceiling. Working the back of the shoulder here. Forearm drops down, elbows by your waist, and it stays there as your arm lifts up. So we can add a little movement of the leg as well. Your feet are together. We're just going to lift the knee up as the arm goes up and then let the knee come back down. So your feet are together and you're lifting the knee up and then you're bringing the knee back down to rest on the bottom leg. Just starting to wake up the muscles of the hip, the muscles in the back of the shoulder. Lift the knee up as the arm goes up. Drop the knee down as the arm goes down. We can breathe as we do this, noticing the movement of the breath, inhaling as the arm and knee go up, exhaling as the arm and knee go down. Maybe you're starting to feel some sensation in the back of the shoulder or in the hip, the glutes. Maybe two more. Inhaling as we go up, exhaling as we come down, and one more like that. Go ahead and put the block on the floor, push yourself up, swing your legs the other direction. Come down, we'll leave the block again. Come down, you could have a pillow under your head or just support your head with your bottom arm. Bend your knees so they're on a right angle. Find a block or a book or something with a little bit of weight. Place your elbow against your waist and have your forearm parallel to the floor. And then just take that lower part of your arm up. You don't need to cock your wrist. And then lower your forearm parallel to the floor. Lift your forearm up, elbow stays close to the waist, and then forearm comes down. So oftentimes what we find is the arm lifts off the waist. See if you can keep the elbow by your waist. That'll target the muscles in the back of the shoulder that we want to target here. So the next time your arm is down, let's add the legs. So we're going to keep the feet together and lift the knee up as the arm goes up, and then let the knee come down. So we're just moving from the hip. We don't need to roll back at all as you do that. Try not to roll back so that you can activate the muscles of the hip more effectively. So just lift the knee and lower the knee. Feet stay together, knee rotates up, knee rotates down. Then we'll do a few more like this. Just starting to wake up the muscles in the hip and in the back of the shoulder. Maybe 2 more of these here. Inhaling as you go up, exhaling as you go down. Last one here. Nice job. Go ahead and release the weight, the block to the floor and come around to all fours. So I've been mentioning this in my classes recently. You know, so many people as we get older, we start to experience osteopenia or osteoporosis. And what the recommendation is to do weight-bearing exercise with some impact. And so yoga is highly recommended for maintaining bone density, bone health. And one of the reasons is because we support the weight of the body with our hands. You know, if we walk and we get impact, that's great for the lower body, but having some weight bearing and impact in the upper body can be quite helpful as well. So here we are bearing the weight of the body with our arms, with our wrists, with our hands, with our shoulders, which is all really good. So from here, from this square position, I'd like you to just come down onto one forearm and then the other forearm, and then come up onto your hand and your hand. Start with the other arm first. Come down onto your forearm and your other forearm, and then come up onto your hands. Alternating which side you begin. Come down onto your forearm, forearm, hand, hand, and then starting with the other arm. Forearm, forearm. So we can do this just like this with our knees on the floor. Another option would be to curl the toes under and lift the knees a little bit off the floor, and then try it. Coming down onto forearm and forearm, and then hand and hand. It's much harder. Come down onto forearm, other side first, forearm, hand, and hand. We'll do a couple more. You could be on your knees, or your knees could be hovering. Come down to forearm, forearm, hand, hand. Try the other side first. Forearm, forearm, hand, hand. Great. Let's drop to knees and let's take child's pose. Sit back on your heels. You could have your arms way out in front, or your arms supporting your head, or your arms alongside your body. Maybe your forehead could rest on a block. Whatever feels good. Take a few moments to breathe here and check in. Remembering what we're focusing on this morning. What are we breathing in? Infusing some quality into our practice. One more breath. With our next inhale, we'll lift our heads up. Let's reach our arms way out in front and make our way to downward facing dog. So down dog, another nice opportunity to support the weight, some of the weight of the body with our upper body, with our arms, our hands, our shoulders. So let's feel the weight of the hands pressing into the mat. Feel the hips drawing way up and back. Allow your head, neck, and shoulders to release here. Shake your head a bit. As you're here, can you create a little space between your shoulder blades? So the shoulder blades might have collapsed in towards each other. Can you just open up some space between them? Creating a little space for your neck. Let's bend one knee and press the other heel toward the floor. And then bend that knee and press the other heel toward the floor. Do that again, alternating, stretching into that calf and ankle. Heels going straight back now. And then bend both your knees a bit. See if you can draw the hips a little more up and back. Deep breath in. Full emptying of breath now. And then we'll walk our hands back towards our feet, letting the heels come down. Ending up, folded over bent knees, arms and head heavy, ragdoll position here, nice and just loose and floppy. Ground through your feet now, draw your belly in, and let's begin to roll up. Nice soft knees. We're gonna just start to unfurl and stack the spine. Just trying to articulate one vertebra coming on top of the other. And then eventually allowing the head to come up. With that connection with our feet to the floor, let's reach the arms out and broaden the chest and back. And as we root down, we'll inhale and reach up, stretching up, lifting up, big breath. And exhaling, we'll lower the arms down. Great, all right, let's turn towards our device and we'll do sumo. So heels a little wider than hips, toes turned out. We're gonna start to take the hips back and let the knees move out towards the toes. Coming into this wide-legged sumo squat, could we stick our butt back a bit more and then take the knees more forward? So the hips go back and the knees go out and forward, tracking over the toes. Great. As we're here, and if you want to have something to hold on to, by all means have a chair or something to hold on to, because this requires a little balance. We're going to lift the heels up as high as we can. So it's challenging, especially if you have weird stuff with your feet. So if you need a chair to hold on to, that's perfectly fine. So we got our heels up quite high, and we might be wobbling a little bit. Can you take your right heel and lower it down towards the floor for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, touch and lift? Can you take your left heel and lower it down for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, touch and lift? Could you take both heels and lower them down? 5, 4, 3, 2, touch and lift? Could you take your hips back a little more, your knees forward a little more? We're going to lower the heels down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're close to the floor, not quite touching those heels. And then we're going to straighten our legs. Oh yeah, probably feeling something there. Drop your heels, bring your feet together. All right, let's make our way to the front of our mat. And we'll stand nice and grounded. I know I say that a lot, and you might hear it and you don't pay attention, or something you heard a million times. But I say it on purpose because I want us to send our roots down when we stand up. Ground through the feet, feel our connection to the ground. This is a practice of embodiment. This time that we're on our mats is our opportunity to really connect with the feeling of our bodies and our relationship to the ground. So consciously creating that mental, physical connection of your feet pressing down, rooted into the earth. And that foundation supports us as we stand tall. And then arms reach out, broaden. Arms reach up, lift, lengthen, lift your heart, breathe in. And then we'll swan dive forward, letting the breath empty out. We're going to bring our hands to the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Taking the hips up and back as we breathe in. Exhaling to straight arm plank. We'll take a breath here. And exhale, lowering all the way down onto belly. Letting the tops of the feet come onto the mat. Sliding the heels of the hands back so the chest can release into the floor. Lifting the chin and the nose up so you're looking straight down. Reaching back through the toes as we lengthen through the crown. Let's slide the shoulder blades up toward the ears. Slide the shoulder blades down toward the heels. And then let them slide back to their normal sweet spot. From right between the shoulder blades, begin to lift the chest up and pull the heart forward, maybe pressing back a bit with the heel of the hands. The spine is long. We're not going to take the chin forward, so we have a nice long continuous extension in the neck. And then we'll lower ourselves back down, really close to the floor. Let's do that again. Inhale up to baby cobra. Lovely spinal extension here. Let's lift the hands up, lift the elbows up, hug the elbows in a bit. And then release the hands, release the chest. This time, hands stay down. Inhale up to that baby cobra. And then maybe press down to come up a bit more, pulling the heart forward as we come up into cobra. And exhaling back down. Let's push up to knees. Curl the toes under and lift the knees up. And then lift the hips up and back to down dog. Breathe in and out here. And then look a little forward, walk your feet up towards your hands, plant your feet beneath you, fold it over. Let's bend the knees and lower the hips. Bring the hands to heart. Hips stay low, but chest will lift up. We'll reach the arms forward as we sit back into a chair. Take one arm and sweep it down and behind you. Open and twist to that side, taking a breath. Sweep that arm down and forward and out in front of you. Take the other arm, sweep it down and behind you, open and twist. Try to keep your knees parallel. Don't let the one hip draw back. Take a breath and then swing that arm down and forward. Take your arms up by your ears. Push into your feet and legs. Inhale and rise up, reach up. Exhale, arms down at your side. Okay. So now we're going to use the 2 blocks, or you could use a chair for this. So either option. The chair is going to be a little higher, so it'll make it a little more accessible. So just place your 2 blocks at the front of your mat, and then just stand a little bit behind them. You can always move them. Take a moment to ground down through your feet to stand tall. Reach your arms out. Inhale and reach up. So we're extending the spine here. And then we're going to exhale and round or flex the spine. And this time we're going to bring our hands onto the blocks, or they could be on a chair. So as you're folded over here, just let your head drop. Your knees can be soft. I'd like you to take a big breath into your upper back. And then as you exhale, extend your spine. So you're going to kind of draw your heart forward. You don't need to take the chin forward, but let a nice long extension all through the spine. This is on the out breath. The in breath, we're going to round. Breathe into the back. The exhale, we're going to extend. So if this is a little too low, you could be on a chair, or if you want to be lower as you exhale, or as you inhale into your back, your hands could be lower down. Some people might put their palms on the floor. The blocks are just bringing yourself a little closer. Let's extend on the exhale. One more time. Inhale into the upper back. And exhale to extend. So it's kind of like cat-cow, just a little differently performed. All right. So set the blocks aside. Bring your hands to the floor and make your way to downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Exhale to straight arm plank. And from here, you might drop to your knees. We're going to do what we did earlier. We're going to come onto a forearm, a hand, and a hand. The other side, forearm, hand, hand. So you might have your knees kind of behind you rather than right underneath you. You might just be in a full plank, and we'll do it again. Forearm, hand, and other side. Forearm, hand. Great. Let's drop to knees, lower the chest down, coming into prone mountain. Slide the heels of the hands back. Find that nice long position of prone mountain. And inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. And then lower back down. Great. All right. Let's place our forearms on the floor. We're just going to rest our head on our forearms so the upper body is relaxed. And I'd like you to bend one knee so that your foot faces the ceiling. And then, whatever leg that is, push that hip down into the floor and try and like serve a platter on your foot up toward the ceiling. So you're lifting that thigh up off the floor. You're serving a platter on your foot up toward the ceiling. And that should activate your hamstrings in the back of your thigh to be holding that platter up the thigh a little bit off the floor. So now begin to extend that leg back, 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 until the leg is more or less straight. You can point the toe a bit more now. That leg is lifted. Could you press the front of that hip down and lift the leg up just a little bit more and take a breath? And then let that leg relax. Great. Other leg, bend the knee, have your foot flexed so there's like a platter on your foot. And can you serve that platter up toward the ceiling? The front of the hips presses down and the thigh lifts up a bit. So holding that foot up toward the ceiling, lifting that thigh up, you start to activate the hamstring. Now begin to take that leg back, 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 until that leg becomes more straight, the toe is more pointed. And with that leg lifted, maybe lift it a little bit more, take a breath, and then relax that leg down. Great. All right, let's try both legs. Bend both knees, platter on both feet, press the hips down, lift the legs up, and then extend them back, 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 until toes are pointed, legs are lifted. Could you press down with the front of the hips, lift the legs a little bit more, take a breath, and then let them relax. Great. All right, now hover your head, bring your arms to your side, palms to the ceiling. Let's press the front of the hips down and lift the legs up. Feel those hamstrings. Reach back through the fingertips, draw the heart forward, inhale and lift the chest up. Nice, strong locust pose. Feel the action of the legs lifting up, and let that strength in the lower body help to support you as you lift your chest up even more, pulling your heart forward. Take a breath and exhale, release down. Nice job. Bringing hands next to chest. Now let's push back to knees, take the hips back, and we'll sit all the way back into child pose. Again, arms out in front, arms supporting your head or arms at your side, whatever works for you. Take a moment here, connect with how you're feeling. Breathe in what you need this morning. Allow your breath to empty out. One more breath here. With your next inhale, lift your head up, reach your arms out, and make your way to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. We'll look a little forward, walk our feet up towards our hands, plant our feet beneath us. With soft knees, let's just sweep the arms out. Inhale and rise up, reach up. And we'll exhale our arms down to our side. All right, we're going to use those two blocks or the chair again. So find those two blocks, place them kind of in front of you, and then let's just come forward. So we're going to have our hands on the block, or again, hands could be on a chair, whatever's better for you. You just want the blocks under your shoulders. Your feet are hip distance apart. We're going to take one leg and swing it straight back. So that leg is straight back, pressing back through the heel, pressing back. As you press back through the heel, can you find length from heel to crown? And then lower that leg down. We're going to do the same leg a couple times. So same leg swings straight back, get long heel to crown, and then bring it back down. Again, same leg swings back, press out through the heel, and swing that leg down. One more time, swing it back, and and lower it down. Let's do the other leg. Swing it straight back. So that hamstring again. Press out through your heel and lower that leg down. Again, swing that leg straight back. If it's not great for you on the blocks, try putting your hands on a chair. Swing that leg straight back and lower it down. And again, swing it straight back and lower it down. All right, feet hip distance beneath you. Now take a step back with that first leg and step back into a lunge. You can bring the blocks back now. So there's, again, under your shoulders. So you're in a lunge. Your feet are hip distance apart. That back heel, if you can have it lifted and going straight back, that's great. If you need to put the heel down, that's fine too if you need that. So can we bend into the front knee? And then could we, instead of holding on to the block or the chair, could we bring our hands to heart? So find a nice alignment from heel to crown, nice and long. Great. Let's push into the front leg to straighten that front leg, and we'll lift the chest up as well. We'll bring our hands to hips now. Let's bend into the front knee, keeping the back leg long. Bend the front knee forward, and then push that foot into the floor to straighten that front leg. Bend the front knee forward, and then push that front foot down to straighten the leg. Two more like that. Bend that front knee forward, push the foot down to straighten the leg. And again, this time bend the front knee forward and keep that knee forward. Now let's bend the back knee a bit. Drop that knee down. As that back knee goes down, could you lift your heart a bit? Put a little tone in your belly here to support your low back. So the pelvis can be kind of neutral here. Rather than the pelvis tipped forward, the pelvis is neutral. Your hips are kind of, parallel to the ground rather than tipped forward. Drop your arms down now. Reach the arms out wide, broaden across the chest and back. Inhale and reach the arms up and overhead, lifting ribs and shoulders. Big breath in as you stretch up. Exhale, let the back knee sink toward the floor just a bit. One more time, big breath in as you reach up. Exhale, arms down, and we're gonna just find the blocks. Back leg can straighten again. Nice long heel to crown position here. Take a breath. As you exhale, you can start to look down and step that back foot in. Let's do the other side. Step the other foot way back into a lunge position. Make sure your feet are as wide as your hips. Front foot is planted, bend into the front knee. Back heel is lifted if you can. From here, now we're supporting our weight with our arms. Can we support the weight internally? Hands coming to heart. Find that nice long line, heel to crown. Now let's push into the front foot to straighten the front leg, and we'll bring the chest up here. We'll bring our hands to hips. Back leg is straight, pressing out through the heel. Let's bend the front knee. And then we'll inhale, push the foot down to straighten the front leg. Exhale to bend the front knee. Again, push that foot down to straighten. And then bend. One more time like that. Push down to straighten that front leg. Exhale to bend the front knee. So the back leg now is, we're trying to have it kind of straight. Now let that back knee bend down toward the floor a bit. As the knee bends down, maybe lift the heart a bit more. Maybe a little tone in the belly to support the back. Drop your arms. Reach the arms out wide. Inhale and reach the arms up. As the arms lift up, shoulders and ribs lift up, take a breath. Exhale, maybe drop the back knee a bit more. Again, inhale and reach up. Exhale, lower the arms down, lean forward, bring your hands to the blocks, and we'll step that back foot in. So we're folded over. Maybe step your blocks a little more forward. Let your head drop, let your elbows bend. Fold it over, bend knees. Let's draw the belly in and just begin to roll ourselves up. Taking some time to unfurl the spine. Eventually bringing the head up. All right, let's turn and face towards your device. And we'll take a wide stance. And we're going to turn in the direction of our blocks. So we're going to turn one foot in, turn the other foot out in the direction of your blocks. Hands can go to hips here. We're going to bend into the front knee. As we bend into that front knee, can we check if our hips are tipping already, or could we keep the hips level? One hip, other hip, even with each other. As the knee bends, as we sink into this warrior position. Outer foot is down, feeling a little action, flexion in the hips here. Okay, we're going to tip the hips over now so that we could come onto this front forearm, or maybe there's a block there and we could put it like behind the ankle so that hand could go down there. So your arm could be here, your arm could be on the block. You could also be using a chair here. So take your other arm towards your computer, and we're going to open that arm up toward the ceiling. So bottom hand presses down onto the block, and top arm opens up toward the ceiling. Your gaze is probably towards your computer. How would it feel if you looked up towards the ceiling as you take a breath? How would it feel as your gaze is forward? How does it feel if you release your gaze down to look at the floor? What feels better for your body? Take one more breath. And then let that hand come down onto your hip. So a couple of options here. You could stay here, you could come out of the pose. Or if you want to try a challenging balance, you could step the block forward, step your back foot in a bit, and then straighten your standing leg and press out through the extended leg. Press out through the heel. You could just be here, working on balance. You could open your hip and your chest towards your computer. You could keep your hand on your hip, or you could lift your arm up. You could also vary your gaze up or down. We'll just take a breath here, wherever we are. And then hand could come back to hip, gaze could go down. We could bend into the standing leg, bring the block along. As the foot steps back, we'll come on up. We'll turn to the other side. If you have a chair, bring it around. You have your block, bring it around. Find your warrior stance, really grounded through both feet. Go ahead and bend the front knee. Hips are level here. Root down, rise up, take a breath. Exhale and tip over. And again, you could have forearm on the thigh, or you could bring your hands down on the block, which will just help you tip over a little more. You might need to widen your stance a bit. So wherever you are, right now your chest is a little bit facing down. So turn your belly and chest towards the camera. Take your other arm forward and lift that arm up. So you can press down with this bottom hand to create some opening as the top arm reaches up. You could explore looking up. How does that feel? That's how I taught it for many years. For me, that creates a little tension in the neck. It's not wrong, it's just not right for everyone. Or your gaze forward, or perhaps gaze down. Whatever feels good. Breathe in and out here. All right, we're going to bring the hand back onto the hip. And you can hang out here. You can come out of the pose. Or if you want a little challenge, you could step the back foot in a bit, step the block more forward, start to straighten your standing leg and press out through the lifted leg heel. You could stay here, or you could try rotating the belly and chest towards your computer, maybe lifting your arm up. So you're really pressing out through the heel, reaching up through the fingertips. We'll take a breath here. Nice. Then bring your hand back to hip, bend your standing leg. You can bring the block along, step the back foot down, rise up. Great. Turn your feet forward. Place the block between your legs. So I mentioned to you I did yoga last week with people out in Colorado. And this setup, folding forward, which is where we're going to go in a moment, into a forward fold, is one way for people to drop into headstand. So a friend of mine actually did that, and she lifted up into headstand. So if you want to try and do that, I don't do that much, but I just wanted to say that that's an option. So for the rest of us, but you need a really wide stride. So feet parallel, hands on hips. Let's start with a little bit of extension, lifting their heart out, maybe drawing the elbows in, big breath in, and then hinging forward to flat back. And then you can hinge all the way over, hands sliding down the leg. So many of us, our head is not going to come to the floor. So the block can be something to reach toward. You can place the block and try and see if you can get your head on the block. If you can do it when the block is up, you might lower the block. You might lower the block more. It gives you something to shoot for, or you might not want to shoot for anything. You might just want to be in a passive forward fold. So you could be in a passive forward fold with your hands on your ankles, your hands on the floor, your head dropped down. If you want to keep your back nice and supported, you can have a little bend in your knees. Or if you want a deep stretch, lift your sitting bones up and stretch your head down. And if you want to be like my friend Terry, place your head on the floor and start to bring your legs up into headstand. If that's in your practice, go for it. And if you want to, play around with it, you want to go to the wall and try a headstand, go ahead. We'll do that another day. We just do a basic headstand, but I don't want to limit you guys if that's in your practice. So if you are in a headstand, you might make your way down. And yeah. And the counter pose to that is child's pose. For the rest of us normal humans, we're going to place our hands on our hips, press down into our feet and legs, and we're just going to rise up. All right, let's bring our feet together. Okay, and we're going to make our way down onto the floor. I think we'll work on headstands, like regular variations working up to a headstand on Wednesday, but don't worry, we'll find a way for everyone to do something. Okay, go ahead and lower down onto your back. And set up for bridge pose. So we're lying down with our feet hip distance apart and our arms at our side. No blanket under your head at this point, optimally. Okay, feet are hip distance apart. We're going to let the low ribs drop down into the floor and start to just curl up low bridge. So you lift your lower spine off the floor, but you still feel the connection of your low ribs. And then just roll out from that. See if you can just articulate the lower lumbar spine a bit. Try that again. Start to curl up tailbone, sacrum, lumbar vertebrae, but just come to where your ribs are, where your thoracic spine begins. And then roll out all the way down to your sacrum. All right, so we're going to start the same way. Lift tailbone, sacrum, lumbar vertebrae, come up to where your ribs are, and then continue to come up and up and up and up, lifting up into a bridge, the weight coming up towards your shoulders. Could you press your feet down to lift up a bit higher? Could you think about your knees and shins going forward as your hips lift up? Take a breath here. And then articulate your way back down. Just unfurl your spine slowly, gradually, incrementally. Take your time to release. And then once you've made your way all the way down, let everything relax and take a breath. And then again, start to curl up. Lower back, mid back, upper back, weight comes up onto the shoulders, knees and shins press forward, hips come up nice and high. As you're here, could you leave your right foot right where it is and lift your left leg up toward the ceiling, taking a breath. Then we're going to place that left foot down about as wide as your hips. Can you leave that left foot where it is and lift your right leg up toward the ceiling and take a breath? And then bring that right foot down. Press down to lift your hips up, knees forward, shins forward. Again, we're going to press down with the right foot, take the left leg up in the air. Take that leg that's up in the air and start to extend it forward until that thigh is parallel with the other thigh. And then lift that leg up again, take a breath. place that foot down. One more side, left foot presses down, right leg lifts up in the air. Take a breath. Extend that leg forward, parallel with the other leg. Inhale that leg up toward the ceiling. Exhale that foot down on the floor. Lift your hips up, take a breath. Knees and shins forward. And then slowly, gradually articulate your way down. Rolling out, unfurling until your sacrum is down. Great. Lift your knees up and hug them in. Maybe sway a little bit side to side. Can you keep your knees hugged in close, but drop your arms out to the side? And with your knees in close to your body, let both knees drop all the way over to one side, maybe towards the camera. Stack your knees one on top of the other. That arm that's behind you, reach it back, roll your chest and your gaze up toward the ceiling, or maybe look back at that arm that's behind you. If your top knee has rolled back, maybe use that arm that's near there to keep the knees stacked. You're looking up at the ceiling or back towards that arm behind you. Take a couple of breaths in and out here. Breathing in something that serves you and letting go whatever doesn't serve you. Negativity, frustration, resentment. Just let that go with your out breath now. One more deep breath, letting the exhale flow or drain out anything you no longer need. Then let's lift the top knee up and the bottom knee up. If your knees are away from your body, bring them in closer to your body. And then let both knees drop all the way over to the other side, stacking one knee on top of the other, and then reaching back with that arm that's behind you, taking your gaze upward towards that arm behind you. And then a couple of deep breaths in and out here. Each exhale, an opportunity to release and let go. This practice is such a wonderful way to work with our emotions, to invite in the positive and let go of the negative. So after the next full release of breath, bring up your top knee, bring up your bottom knee, and then release your feet to the floor. We're going to move into our final relaxation. If there's one more movement your body's craving, you could do whatever you like. And as you transition to your final pose of relaxation, our Shavasana pose, you might put something under your head. You might put a bolster under your knees. I was thinking I haven't used my bolster in a while. You could use your 2 blocks under your knees too. Sometimes nice for a little bend in the knees to support the low back. Maybe you put a blanket over you or a pillow under you. Just this is the time to nurture yourself and offer yourself a way to be as comfortable as you can. And as we lie back, we might let our eyes close. We want to be comfortable temperature here and nice and supported so that the body can relax. And then all we have to do is allow it to happen. Allow that relaxation response to unfold. We might drop very readily into a very relaxed state. Or we might need a little guidance or coaxing. A little encouragement to let all the muscles in the legs and arms relax. A little reminder to let the seat and hip muscles relax. A small encouragement to allow the belly muscles, the gut, to unclench and relax. A little opportunity to let the heart soften and open, the chest relax and release. And the head is heavy resting back, but perhaps the facial muscles are clenching or gripping or furrowing. So can we let that all go? Find ease in the muscles of the face, the head, the neck. Finding ourselves in a relaxed body now. And letting the mind rest here as well. This final pose is like a little break, a little vacation for the body and the mind. As you maybe continue lying back, and perhaps you can start to transition. I'll share a reading with you from Melody Beattie's Journey to the Heart called Open Up to Who You Are. She says, stop criticizing yourself. Stop telling yourself everything you think, feel, want, and do is wrong, or at least not quite right. You've been holding back, censoring yourself for too long. Your creativity, your intuition, the voice of your soul is the very voice you've been silencing. For many reasons, we learn to criticize and censor ourselves. We may have grown up with people who stifled our inner voice, our wisdom, our knowledge of truth. Our sense of truth may have caused them to feel uneasy, so they told us to hush. It met their needs to keep us quiet, so we learned to hush ourselves. It was how we survived. No longer do we need to meet other people's needs, not that way. We don't have to be afraid of ourselves or what we will find if we look inside. We don't need to run from ourselves. We don't need to hide or hush ourselves. We are creative, loving, purposeful beings. It's time to open up to yourself, to your grandest dreams and aspirations, your real inclinations and desires, your wisdom and knowledge about what is true and what is real. Open up to who you are. Listen to yourself. Express yourself. Enjoy who you are, and you will find others enjoying you too. So that's our reading for this morning. You're welcome to continue lying down. You're welcome to transition back and slowly, gradually make your way out of your final pose. Whatever you choose, I'm grateful that you are here this morning practicing with all of us. And I wish you a really lovely day. Peace. And thank you. And you can come back and say something, or you can check out, whatever is better for you. And I will stop the recording.